Well, good afternoon, everyone. We'll just start. I'll not be waiting for your response. We'll just start with the trig session now. Well, if you look at, I have received a lot of questions regarding this, the questions regarding tangent. All right, I'm just right now going to elaborate. When we have a question regarding tangent, what we do in that case. Like as you all see on the screen, there's a question saying, find the exact value of tangent 105 degrees. Now, as I earlier discussed with you all, the only thing we need to check is the basic angles we have. What are the basic angles? The basic angles we have for those which we know the values. The basic angles are 0, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. Now, I just need two combination. What two angles can combine together to give me 105? Now, if I look at 45 and 60, they combine together to give me 105. Now, that's the formula that I have to use. I have to use this tangent 105 as, I have to write tangent 105 as tangent 60 plus 45. Now, again, I have to go back and start using my identities, tangent A plus B. Now, what is tangent A plus B? If I go back, I'll just clear this and I'll just elaborate this using the solution of this problem. Tangent 105 comes out to be tangent 60 plus tangent 45. I use the formula. Tangent A plus B is what? It is tangent A plus tangent B divided by 1 minus tangent A tangent B. Now we just plug in the values. All right, I just want everyone to plug in the values and use a mini table to find the solution. I'm just giving you about a minute to plug in the values and the formula. Along with that, I'll be writing it on the screen. So you have to write it as tangent 60 plus tangent 45 divided by 1 minus tangent 60 tangent 45. Now, the best thing I like about tangent is whenever you have tangent 45, the best thing about tangent 45 is the value of tangent 45 is what? Tangent 45 is always 1. So that actually says your work. Tangent 45 is 1, and you can use that tangent 45 and plug in all the values in the formula. So your final thing will be tangent 60. Tangent 60 is what? Tangent 60 is radical 3 plus 1 divided by 1 minus radical 3 times 1. Gives you what? Radical 3 plus 1 divided by 1 minus radical 3. Now that's the final answer. If you want, you can rationalize this answer, or you can just keep it like that. It depends on what you're using. You can just keep it like this, or you can further rationalize it to get a better answer. All right, let's check another problem. I'm just going to erase this problem. Let's check another problem. Let's see if we have tangent 15. Now, if you look at tangent 15, now again, you have to check the combination of your angles. The angles are what? Angles are 0, 15, 30, 45, and 60. Out of, oh sorry, why I got 15 there? We don't have 15. I apologize. So we have 90. Now using the combination of these, I have to find 15. How do we get 15? You can use 60 and 45, or you can use 45 and 30. Whichever you want, you can use and get the right answer. So what I pick up right now is I'll try to use tangent. I'll try to use tangent 45 minus 30. Let's use, I'll be writing it in blue. Tangent 45 minus 30. 45 minus 30 gives you 15. All right, now tangent 45 minus 30 degrees will give you what? It will give you tangent 45 according to the formula. Tangent 45 minus tangent 30 divided by 1 plus tangent 45 tangent 30. Now the reason I use this is because, like, if you look at the mini table, I'm just writing the values of mini table over here. That the reason tangent 30 is what? Tangent 30 is 1 over radical 3. But if you look at tangent 60, that is simply radical 3. So I will always recommend you to use tangent 60 rather than using tangent 30. If you have an option. If you have an option, always use tangent 60 rather than using tangent 30. Now I'll rewrite this question as tangent 60 minus 45. Now this will make your question much easier. This is what? Tangent 60 minus 45 gives you tangent 60 minus tangent 45 divided by 1 plus tangent 60 tangent 45. Now, rather than using 45 minus 30, I'm using 60 minus 45. The reason I'm using 60 minus 45 is because I know the value of tangent 60 is radical 3. Value of tangent 45 is 1 divided by 1 plus tangent 60 is radical 3 and tangent 45 is 1. You can multiply it with 1 or you can just leave it, and that's the answer. If you want to rationalize it, you can rationalize it later, or you can just keep this as the answer, radical 3 minus 1 over 1 plus radical 3, or it can be the other way around. You can also rewrite it as radical 3 minus 1 over radical 3 plus 1. That can be the answer. So it depends what sort of answer you need, or whether you are rationalizing it or you just keep it like that. All right, let's go to the next type of questions. I just have to go to another screen, so that's the reason you cannot see it right now. Okay. All right, everyone, please look at this question. Very important question. You will see this question, similar question on your final exams, for sure. Now, first we have to break this question. How do we break this question? We read this question as, this is the first part, and this is the second part. Now, if you look at the first part, it just gives you what? It gives you sine alpha is what? It is negative 2/3. Second thing, by looking at this, can you tell me over here at the top, can you tell me which quadrant we are dealing with? The quadrant is what? Pi is 180 and 3 pi over 2 is 270. Between pi and 3 pi over 2, that means we are dealing with this alpha is in third quadrant. Or let me write it the other way. The alpha is in third quadrant. Okay, let's look at the second part. Second part is they have given you cosine beta is what? It is 1/3. And from this thing here, this is 3 pi over 2 and this is 2 pi. That means 270 to 360. So this beta actually lies in which quadrant? Beta is in fourth quadrant. Beta is in fourth quadrant. Okay, now first I need to identify sine and the quadrant, sine of alpha and quadrant, cosine of beta and the quadrant. Now, second thing I need is I have to write the formula. What I'm trying to calculate. I'm trying to calculate sine alpha plus beta. Sine alpha plus beta is what? It will be sine alpha cosine beta plus cosine alpha sine beta. All right, I just write the formula for this. Now, just looking at the formula, I will identify what all is given. What is given over here? Sine alpha is given. Sine alpha is given. That means this thing is given. I know this value. Secondly, cosine beta is given. Cosine beta is given. All right, we have these two values. Now, using this sine alpha, I have to calculate cosine alpha. And using this cosine beta, I have to calculate sine beta. How? Come to this side where we have this sine alpha, this side. Now, just looking at this sine, we check this thing with the sine. If we look at sine alpha, I try to draw a right triangle. Consider this angle as alpha. All right. Now sine is what? Sine is always opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 2, hypotenuse is 3. I use the Pythagorean theorem to get this side. This side is adjacent. So 3 squared is 9, 9 minus 4 gives you radical 5. This side is radical 5. Using Pythagorean theorem, you calculate this third side. This is alpha. So from here, you can calculate cosine alpha. Cosine alpha is what? Cosine alpha will be radical 5/3. But this is in which quadrant? Alpha is in third quadrant. Since alpha is in third quadrant, Cosine is negative in third quadrant, so this value will be negative. So this is cosine alpha. I calculated cosine alpha.
Counsel.
Yes.
So how'd you get the radical 5 as the hypotenuse for it?
No. Hypotenuse is 3.
Or not 3, sorry, the adjacent, yeah.
Adjacent. I use the Pythagorean theorem. So according to Pythagorean theorem, let me change it. According to Pythagorean theorem, this becomes what? 2 squared plus adjacent square will be 3 squared. 2 squared will be 4 plus a squared is what? 9. So
all right, okay.
Minus 4 gives you 5 and we calculate the radical.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So the same way, we go to the other side and try to calculate the sine beta from this cosine beta. Cosine beta is given. Okay, I draw a triangle for cosine. Let's say this angle is beta. This is right triangle. All right. Now, cosine is what? Adjacent over hypotenuse? So adjacent is 1 and hypotenuse is 3. This is 1 and this is 3. So according to this, your opposite side, 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 1 gives you 8. This will be radical 8. I can write there. Let me try again. Radical, no, yeah, a little bit. Okay, that's radical 8. All right, so now I will write this sine beta is opposite over hypotenuse. So radical 8 over 3. Now, can you tell me what sign it should be? Is it positive or negative? Looking at this here, beta is in which quadrant? Beta is in fourth quadrant, and in fourth quadrant, sign is negative. Make sense? Now, once we are done till this point, what I do in the next step is I will just plug in the values. I'll just plug in the values. All right. Sine alpha is given in the quotient, negative 2 over 3. Cosine beta is given in the quotient times 1 over 3 plus cosine alpha. Now, if you look at cosine alpha, that's what we calculated here, is negative radical 5 over 3, and sine beta. Sine beta is the one that we calculated right now. Sine beta is negative radical 8 over 3. Now, once we come to this point, next is we just simplify it. This becomes what? 2 over 9. This negative and negative gives you a positive. This is negative 2 over 9. This is positive. 5 times 8 is 40. And you can write 40 as 4 times 10 or 2 radical 10 over 9. You can just leave this answer like this, or you can just factor out that 2 and make it as 1 plus radical 9 or something.
So the answer would be negative 2 over 9 plus 2 radical 10 over 9?
Yes, it can be like this, or sometimes they can just factor out this 2 and make it as 1 plus radical 10 over 9.
Okay.
All right, yeah. It depends on, like, most of the times, well, if we are not talking about EDUCO, on your exams, you will have 4 answer choices. So you have to figure out which one is the correct answer.
So could you like write it as like 2 plus 2 radical 10 all over 9?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's correct. This question is very important. The reason this question is important, let me see if I have any color that I have not used. Yes. Okay. The reason why this question is important, first thing, we are dealing with quadrants at the top. All right. Secondly, from those quadrants, using sine, I calculate cosine. Using cosine, I calculate sine. Then I'm using the formula.
So
And
okay, so
yes,
on the test, are you gonna ask for the quadrants, like what quadrant it'll be in?
it will be given.
Oh, it'll be given.
Yeah.
All right.
There will be two questions in which there will be no quadrants. If there are no quadrants, that means we are dealing in the first quadrant. But if the quadrants are given, then what is the only difference? Like these quadrants will just give you these signs. If no quadrant is given, this sign will be positive always. If the quadrant is given, we have to check whether it is a third quadrant or the fourth quadrant. And then we figure out which part it will go. All right. I'm
Can
just
you
going to,
explain how
yes,
you got 2 over radical 10 over 9?
this one here.
Yes.
Okay, so it was actually 5 times 8. 5 times 8 gives you 40. All right, so I break that radical 40 as 4 times 10. And radical of 4 comes out to be 2. And we are left with radical 10. Good question. So I just break that 5 times 8 as 40 into 4 times 10, and then pull out this 4 out of that radical sign. That becomes 2 radical 10.
So anytime you get like a big radical, like radical 40, you will want to break it down first to see if you can simplify it.
If you can. If you cannot, just leave it there. Okay, let me pull out one more question, and that will give you a better idea of what we are dealing with right now. Okay, are we done with this question? Take a screenshot or whatever you want. Just click a picture or something so that you can have this question for the reference.
So, Council,
Yes.
how are we doing how are we going to do our final exam?
Well, it depends. It will be on a lockdown browser. We'll discuss that later. We'll just put an exam, and it will be on a lockdown browser, and it will be in a specified time. You have to finish that exam in 2 hours. For everyone working anywhere on this planet, it will be just those 2 hours. And
Okay.
you can just log in once, finish up the exam, and then log out.
What if we in different time zones? That's still the same time no matter what?
Well, if you are in the different time zone, it will be according to the central time zone. We'll just follow the central time zone. And like if it is 10 over here, that means it is somewhere around 8 in California or somewhere around 11 in New York.
Yeah, I'm on the E. Yeah, okay. All right, bet.
All right. Okay, let me give you one more question, and we go from there now. I'll work with you all. I will not leave you here. I'll work with you all on this question also. All right, now, first thing, you can write the formula. So what we are trying to calculate is, we are again trying to calculate sine alpha plus beta according to the formula, that is sine alpha cosine beta plus cosine alpha sine beta. All right, now let's identify what all things are given. Okay, Over here in the question, they have given you sine alpha and they have given you cosine beta. These two things are given. Now from these two things, I have to calculate cosine alpha and sine beta. That means again, what I need is I need those triangles and have to consider the quadrants. All right, let's check the first thing. Sine alpha is -3/4. Alpha is in which quadrant? Over here, alpha is in, again, 180 to 270 in third quadrant. We'll draw a triangle. Right triangle and say this angle is alpha. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 3, hypotenuse is 4. Can you tell me what is the adjacent side? Now 4 squared is 16 and 3 squared is 9. What is 16 minus 9?
Come on, counsel. You just gave us the answer, fam. I thought you told us to work it out.
Okay, what is that? Well, I'm just working on the other side, just on the alpha angle. I'll make you all work on the beta angle. I'll not help you out on beta.
I bet.
Bet.
How many questions like these will be on the test?
It will be just 2 questions like these.
Okay. And one more question. Do you know how many, I don't know what's it called, like how many chapters we got to go through before the final? Like how many more?
Just 6, 7, and 8. That's all the syllabus. 6, 7, and 8. 6 was done. 7, 1, 7, 2 was done. Everything after 7, 2. That's what we have to cover. Right now we are working on 7, 3. And 7, 3 and 7, 4, they are quite similar. And then 7, 5, 7, 6, and then chapter 8.
Okay.
All right, let me finish this up. This is, so we have, this thing is 16 minus 9 gives you 7, radical 7. Now, since I have to write cosine alpha is radical 7 over 4, but I have to consider the angle. Angle is in third quadrant. In third quadrant, cosine is negative. Well, this is the most important part, how to put a sign. We just check the third quadrant. This third quadrant will give us the sign. Okay, now I want you all to work on cosine. Cosine beta is given. One over 7. All right, and beta is in fourth quadrant. All right, now I want you all to draw the graph diagram of beta. This is a right triangle. Cosine is what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. 1 and 7. And now everything you have to do. Find the opposite and then you write sine beta. Please do consider the quadrant. Using the Pythagorean theorem, 7, 49, 49 minus 1 gives you what?
48, 48 radical.
And you have radical 48.
Mm-hmm.
So your sine beta is radical 48 over
7, and then it's
7.
negative because it's in
Why
the
is it
fourth.
negative?
It's in the fourth, John. The only thing that's positive in the fourth is cosine.
Very good, very good. And fourth, cosine is positive and sine is negative. So I have all 4 values that I need. So this
Hey,
becomes,
counselor,
yes.
for this next one, I know you about to write all these out, all them out. You'll get like 7 radical 7 over 4. Make that and make that negative, and then you have first you'll put the negative, obviously negative 3 over 4, and then you'll put the negative radical 7 over 4. And I know you about to just rewrite that, but for that next one, when you do that 48, I just did 12 and then 4 and then made the 2, so it'd be 2 radical 12 over 7.
Very
Is
good.
that okay?
That's what we need. All right. Now, if it gets disconnected because it is showing it's less than a minute left, if it gets disconnected, just rejoin with the same code. All right. And I just keep on working on this problem.
All right.
Sine alpha is negative 3 over 4. Cosine beta is, we just calculate, it is given 1 over 7 plus